Sorry. Okay. And today we are meeting it together to discuss about that one, the common ground, share knowledge and collectively develop transformative pathways. For this one, we have invited esteemed panelists to join, who will be joining us for this further discussion. I will be inviting the panelists one by one. First, I will be inviting that one, the water policy engineer Ahmed Kamal, who is the chairman of Federal Flood Commission and Ministry of Water Sources. I think Ahmed Kamalsa will be joining. He's out. Food security policy, that the Secretary Sahab Captain Muhammad Mahmood is not available due to some urgent cabinet meeting. I will be requesting the Kafai Zaman Sahab to come, who is the Federal DG of Water Management Cell, to please come and join us on the stage. Next is moving on to climate policy. Dr. Mazhar Hayat, Deputy Secretary, Ministry of Climate Change and Environmental Coordination. Sir, please join. And for the finance one, I will be inviting Bilal Anwar Sahab, Chief Executive Officer, National Disaster Risk Management Fund. Please join us on the stage. From the academia and then the industry, and I will be inviting Dr. Nadeem Javed, who is a Professor of Economics and Strategy, and he is a former Chief Economist of Pakistan. And from the youth, I will be inviting Sidra Khalid, who is from IMI Gender and Youth Specialist. Sidra, please join. And then lastly, from the civil society, I will be inviting Ms. Meher Markar Nushirwani, Governor of Hisar Foundation. Please join us. Thank you. Now considering the time, which is around 12:06, and then we are running behind that one, the schedule. So I will be asking each panel member about the one question, and you will have 4 minutes to provide an answer of that question. Let me start first with that, the Ahmed Kamal Sahab. Pakistan faces increasing water scarcity due to factors like population growth, climate change, and inefficient water management practices. What are the innovation solutions to improve water security that has been mentioned, particularly in the water policy? And then what will be the key missions out of the 8 missions which we have presented, important for the Ministry of Water Sources? Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saab. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I would say that whatever the Dr. Ashraf has stated in his presentation, that has got everything with regard to addressing the water security issue in the country. Allow me to say that the 8 missions that you have just presented in your presentation are all those which wholly encompass the entire spectrum of national water policy. Where we lack is that probably has already been stated here. We need to move proactively rather than preparing policies, plans, and then putting them in the shelves. Now it is the time that we should take them proactively with regard to addressing the water security issue. Number one, we need definitely the water reservoirs. The study undertaken in 2005, it has indicated that we are at the moment only just 11 or 12% of the total requirement of surface water availability. So I almost in all my talks say that if we have a glass of 100 glasses of water, we need at least 40 glasses to keep them in our storages. At the moment, we have just 11 or 12 glasses of water. So we need 28 glasses of water to be kept as our future food security, as well as to take care of the climate aspects. The second aspect is last year when we have got the major floods in the country, they generated over 14 million acre feet of water by virtue of torrential flows from the Kohe-Suleiman area, beside from the Kirthar range in the Balochistan. We have not taken any step towards that to take care or to manage their flows and to augur that for the good of the people living in those areas. So we need now a very serious sort of implementation on ground. We need to have small ponds, we need to have small storages and the flood carrier channels, so that the population on both sides living on those areas not only have a space to use that water, but at the same time we can manage the high flows in our river system. Thirdly, our institutional setup is going from bad to worse. We are working on the individualistic approaches. We are not working on all-inclusive approach, right from the federal to the provincial and to the district levels. Unless and until we address this thing, we should be ready for the disaster. And being the government servant, working in the government servant, I feel very badly the absence of all such, actions on ground. So I have to say, Dr. Saab, these are the three areas which need actions. And when you say about the 8 missions, I think that all those 8 missions should be adopted as our national water policy framework, and we should take that to the government of Pakistan, to the ministry, and we should, convince them that to integrate all these 8 missions into various policy frameworks and then implement it, that is going to provide both the national, regional, as well as the global, flavor to our water sector policy implementation framework. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amit Kamal Sahab, really highlighting that one again, that one of the bottlenecks which we are facing in Pakistan, it's that one that silo approach, and then there is a need for the holistic approach for the to deal with the water security in Indus Basin, and we need to have actionable roadmap for the Indus Basin, how that water policy could be implemented. Thank you very much. Now moving to my next is that moving to the climate ministry. Dr. Mazhar Yasab, how can our climate change policy be strengthened to ensure more effective, transparent and timely implementation? Just to give you the example, in the water conservation, it's mentioned in the food security policy, it's mentioned in the climate change policy, it's also mentioned on that for the water policy. But then what is an actionable roadmap for Pakistan in developing a climate resilient strategy or the actions on the ground? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohsin Hafiz. A lot has already been said on this aspect, but I would like to mention that no single pathway can lead us towards the climate action. It's a cross-cutting issue, and whole of the society and whole of the economy.
डॉक्टर मदर साहब, आपकी आवाज़ नहीं क्लियर आ रही, थोड़ा सा माइक को आगे कर लें. थैंक यू.
Yes. Am I audible now? Okay. So the first and foremost thing is to adopt a whole of the society approach. Being a cross-cutting issue, climate change needs whole of the economy and the whole of the society approach in the way that not a single ministry can do. Sorry. Regarding climate change and water conservation, it is important to have a look on the overall country needs. As I mentioned, that a lot has been said that Pakistan is at the verge of water scarce country, and projections reveal that by 2025 water availability will touch 500 cubic meter per capita per annum. So it's a national security issue basically, And being a cross-cutting issue, we need to work together in the way that Ministry of Climate Change has international commitments also in terms of nationally determined contributions, and a lot has been reflected in that document in terms of nature-based solutions and ecosystem-based adaptation. Number one. Number two, if we see the National Adaptation Plan, which has recently been issued, the first priority area is the water and agriculture nexus. We know that Pakistan's almost 22% share of the GDP rests in the agriculture sector, and more than 40% of our rural livelihood is associated directly or indirectly with that one. So with this backdrop, the climate change, water and food security nexus is very important. From our policy perspective, Pakistan's Ministry of Climate Change prioritizes the water sector in its all the policies, particularly the adaptation. So with reference to the innovative way forward, means of implementation is important. We mentioned that we are having a lot of gaps in implementing policies. We are having gaps in capacity issues, allocation of national public sector budgeting and like that one. So first and foremost, priority should be given to the means of implementation. Without that, we cannot move forward in this sector. Ministry of Climate Change has innovatively approaching towards this initiative, these plannings. Now we are decoding the climate change policies, NDC and National Adaptation Plan into projects. If we see from glacier perspective, we have glacier lake outburst floods in place, and that is to support the overall water sector and building resilience and coping capacities of the communities. Then we have climate smart agriculture project, similarly Recharge Pakistan project, and we have also come up with a living Indus initiative. Basically, this is nature-based solution package of 25 interventions. With this backdrop, basically these most of these projects have been mobilized from the Green Climate Fund, from the Global Climate Finance. So these are the innovative ways that it is important for Pakistan now to translate all its policies, whether this is climate change policy, whether this is water policy, into climate actions through projects, interventions. So through not only through international finance, but also through public sector finance and also the private sector finance. Without that, we cannot move forward, or we cannot secure our water sector. So these are the main points which needs to be addressed, because at the end of the day, it is the means of implementation. Because we know a lot about the water scarcity, the policies that should be put in place, but the only thing is your means of implementation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mazhar, for highlighting on the need of the nature-based solution, how that could be helping, and what are the different initiatives which Ministry has started through the GCF funding, and how that will be the providing a paradigm shift, not in the near future, but let's say in a 5-year time. These initiatives we really implemented, that will be making the transformational change which we needed. But at the same time, the population is increasing, so we need to think about other ways. One of the other major factor which we are often facing it, and we are talking a lot about the finances. Now in the context of finances, I will be asking the next question to Bilal Anwar Sahab, who is the CEO of the National Disaster Risk Management Fund. Sir, Pakistan has a very poor early warning system for disaster, for flood and drought. Among the 60 countries of Asia Pacific, we are in the bottom 3, not from the top, but from bottom. And we have excellent national disaster management authorities, but those are only functioning when the disaster happened. What are the NDMF efforts to improve water-related disaster security in the Pakistan?
Thank you very much, Dr. Sab. बहुत शुक्रिया आपका and congratulations for organizing this event and highlighting the criticality of the challenge and the importance of the challenge in such a glaring way. I think what we need to understand, although this has been said in the morning as well as Dr. Ashraf actually portrayed it very well, I think what we need to understand is what we have been doing in the last couple of centuries in terms of putting the carbon into the atmosphere. I think what we're seeing in terms of the water scarcity, the water security challenges, there's a direct impact of it. Pakistan happened to be right in the middle of this challenge, and at the same time we have the abundant resources of water, but because of the several reasons, we have not been able to make a very good use of those resources, and the end result is we're seeing the kind of the challenges and the disasters which we are seeing. So I think one of our colleagues, friend, and a fine brain which Pakistan produced, Dr. Adil Najam, he said it very eloquently. Said if carbon is for mitigation, water is for adaptation. That uniquely applied to Pakistan. NDRMF, our role is disaster risk reduction. Actually, we got dragged into quite often into the disaster risk management kind of areas as well because of the challenges and the gravity of those challenges. So we are conscious about that, but we have never been able to kind of lose our focus from the risk reduction. Now, when it comes to the risk reduction, especially from a water context, I think the early warning system becomes critically important. In the history of our operational kind of a history which we have been working with the provincial governments as well as the federal agencies in trying to improve and intensify the early warning systems. And we have done those measures in number of those extremely vulnerable regions, especially when we're talking about the Balochistan, Gilgit-Baltistan, Azad Jammu and Kashmir, and some areas of Sindh as well. But we know that, and it's kind of an open secret that a lot has to be done. And this is something we are actually gearing up in terms of moving ahead, and the next phase of NDRMF, which is actually focused on working on a number of kind of a large-scale projects, the big-ticket projects, and especially many of those projects and interventions are going to be focused in and around the water management systems. They come in different formats and shapes. We're talking about the water conservation, the check dams of various sizes and different locations, as well as we're working extremely closely now, and this partnership has actually intensified with FFC, where we are working with the in the next phase of their implementation, which is for integrated flood management system. We have been very much engaged in the updating of this NFPP4, and that document has a number of very exciting and interesting features, which are extremely aligned with the kind of challenges which Pakistan is facing. But at the same time, the best practices and some of the examples actually borrowing from international practices as well. So that is going to be quite a predominant kind of a portion of our work in moving ahead, and that includes the early warning systems as well. But at the same time, I do not want to really undermine the importance of more localized and domestic early warning system, which we have been traditionally doing it in our previous operational phase as well. We're going to continue to do that, but at the same time, we're going to be scaling ourselves up and working with a number of provincial governments under the guidance and the support from FFC, a number of other partners as well, to come up with more integrated, a lot more kind of a widespread system of early warning system. And I think this is what is needed for Pakistan. Otherwise, we know we've seen a kind of a glimpse of it in last year, and of course we do not want the reputation of that kind of a scenario moving ahead. But that requires, of course, a consolidated effort, and the RMF is kind of taking that challenge, and we are entering into a number of partnerships with the like-minded institutions, as well as the institutions who have the challenge and the mandate